All right, and welcome to another exciting episode of Celebrating Powerhouse Women. I am your host, Amanda Pearch, joined by Valencia Giles at the Lawrenceville-Suwanee School of Music. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Amanda.
We are here, and it looks like you guys just concluded a really exciting event. I apologize we were unable to join you. Why don't you tell our listeners about what went on here today?
Well, what we did today is we celebrated the NBC Universal commercial that we won the opportunity to do that with State Farm and NBC Universal. And so far on Facebook, we have over 8.4 million views.
Wow.
Really excited about that. And we were celebrating that today. We're also just celebrating us. You know, we were National Music School of the Year 2021. We also won the MOTSE Most Outstanding Organization 2023, and we are Best of Gwinnett 9 years in a row. And we've been open as a small business for 15 years now.
Congratulations to you.
Yeah. So we were doing that, and so we were giving back to the community some small business tips on how to grow your business, because Ozzy, my husband, and I, when the way we started is not how we were ending. It's like things have gone from the very beginning to what we have today, and I'm sure we'll talk about that some more in the interview.
I failed to mention that you're the executive director here, and I'm sure there are a multitude of things that you do within that realm. So give us an idea of what a day in the life as an ED here might be.
Well, it's a lot of work, let me say that, but I love what I do. I love spending time, first of all, we start our week off really just with our core team. I just really believe if you own a business and you have people in it and your team members, you pull them together. So we want to pull our team members together on every Monday, and we just talk about where we are, where the business is, and where we're going, and we get down to the specifics of what we need to do. And then really, because no one loves the business more than me, because you know why, right? So I really joined my marketing team, and we make sure that we talk about our plans for growing the business, our marketing strategies, and we want to talk about what we're going to be doing this week, the next month, Christmas. We go all through that. And so it's a lot of planning that I do, but I'm not teaching like I did before. So it's just a lot of planning and doing these events like this, just trying to make sure that people know who we are at Lawrenceville-Suwanee School of Music and grow the school. That's my job, is to make sure the school is known, because if no one knows you, they can't come to you. And so really, as the executive here, I have to make sure that takes place. And we do a lot.
Well, I think that you're doing a very good job of saturating the marketplace and educating them as well. Mm-hmm. For our listeners who are unfamiliar with what you guys do here, give us an idea of the depth, breadth, and vision of what this Music Institute is.
Well, one of the things I tell people is we do more than music lessons. We do life lessons. Mm-hmm. And what we want to do in our music lessons is we want to inspire and motivate students. So love is our motto. And great musicianship is our goal. But we want to inspire, motivate, and cultivate confidence within kids so that they can perform at their highest level. And not just kids, but students of all ages. So that they can become their best, whatever that is. And so Lawrenceville-Suwanee School of Music is not like any other school to me. I'm not trying to be like any other school down the block, but I'm trying to give something that's a little bit deeper. So we focus on ages 4 through adults. And we teach lessons from piano, guitar, violin, viola, strings, drums, voice, woodwind instruments. We teach a variety of instruments, and we also teach art. Mm-hmm. But the main thing that we do, I believe, is we provide a space for kids to not only explore music, but to also be in a music family. Hmm. We also take care of special needs children. My husband, who is also a CEO here, he was a special needs instructor for over 30 years. So he brought special needs to the school. And we were able to implement that as well. And so the school also provides a lot of programs. So what I usually try to do is make sure our kids don't just come here to just practice, but they have goals in front of them. And in those goals, they may be goals to be more disciplined or goals to perform. So that is why we have recitals, we have holiday recitals, we have summer recitals, we have destination performances. Ooh. We've taken our students to Carnegie, we've taken them to Graceland, we've taken them to the Fox Theater, and we have taken students of all ages and of all development places or wherever they are developmentally. We take our special needs kids there too, because I believe that all the kids belong on the stage and they deserve that opportunity to know what that feels like. And I can talk a lot about what we do because I'm not even finished. We do so much stuff here. And we teach the kids how to give. And so that, I think when we, each year we provide like opportunities for them to give to the poor. We do the food drives with Lawrenceville Community Co-op. We also take care of about 19 orphans in Africa. Our second location feeds them and take care of them on a monthly basis. And through the summer, we do the community programs where we take care of kids who don't have food during the summer. And the kids are all involved in this. So they have a lot to do, right, Amanda? They have music, they have the internal part of music, but they also have the abilities to do more than just music and let their music be projected in all kind of ways. I know that was a long answer, but I'm not even done, so I'm going to stop right there.
Well, thank you for that full answer. I have several talking points that you have given me through that answer. Mm-hmm. So I know that maybe some of our audience has heard that music is a universal language. Right. Okay. Mm-hmm. So you mentioned a different variety of students and participants here at your facility. And I think that the one thing that you all share is the love of arts and music as well. So that's kind of a way that everybody can come together regardless of age, status, ability, and all those things. It's evident that you're very passionate about this organization and about what you do. I'm curious, where did that passion derive?
Wow. When I was 7 years old, my parents bought me a little piano. And I came home and I was so excited about that. And of course, years later, I fell in love with the piano, and I fell in love with music. I'm also a flutist. I fell in love with that. I fell so in love with it that I decided to major in it, went to college, and decided to study it. Spent 5 years in college, graduated with honors, did my student teaching, and my student teaching was so terrible till I just felt like a failure. And you know what I did after I graduated? I left music and I went into the computer science industry. I worked at a computer science corporation. When I was doing my student teaching, the kids locked me up in the band room. I looked like a kid, and I internalized all of that as a failure.
As a joke, they locked you in there?
Oh, yeah, they did. I had to call the office so that the principal could come and they could send someone to let me out of the office. So I had, with that combination of that and just my background, my past, just being brought up in a beautiful mom and dad, but she had some mental issues. And my mom was not able to take care of me emotionally. And I took care of her a lot. So because of that, her place in life, I did not know that she was struggling. So what I did was my mom probably just expected a lot out of me. And because she expected so much out of me, I felt like I could never achieve what she was expecting. Mm. And she didn't do this intentionally. Love my mom. But I'm getting to your answer because this is, if you don't know this, it's hard to explain to you my passion. And so in that story, the other leaders in my life, like my pastor and a couple of teachers, those people also led me in a very negative way. And they hurt me spiritually, sexually, emotionally. And even though I was this outgoing kid, people did not know that I was struggling inside. And music helped me to cope with my emotions and my feelings. I grew up always feeling that I was not enough. That's how I grew up. And I had to work through that. So by the time I got to my student teaching, it verified to me that I was not enough and that I was a failure. And therefore, I had to go a different direction. So I went that different direction, not realizing that I was leaving my passion. And raised a family, loved my family. By the time we're to Georgia, which is 20 years or so later, I never stopped playing music. I did things with music in church. This is where a young lady asked me if I would go and do some music for her school because she was a music owner of some programs. And I told her no. And she said, come on, Valencia, you can do this. And I said, I'm just really not a good teacher. And but eventually she convinced me, and I went. I went into that school and taught these young kids. And all the passion that had left me came back. I cannot express or even explain the joy that I had in doing what I loved. And while I was there, and as I did that weekly, I began to understand that this was my calling. But fast forward, you might know the story, but the other part of the story is I was sick one day and could not go to one of the schools. And it was time for me to go back. My boss called me and she said, Valencia, they don't want you back because they hired the person that's up for you. Failure again. So now I revert back to, I'm certainly not enough. But eventually, that firing was the best thing that could have ever happened for me. Because you know what it made me do? It made me say, I've got to figure this out. Valencia, who are you? And what do you want to do with your life? And I decided that day that I was going to work for myself. I was going to help support my family as a stay-at-home mom because I love being a stay-at-home mom. That's a whole nother business, Amanda. So I already had full-time and no pay except for the reward of the love, you know? And I did that one student at a time. Putting flyers on mailbox. My kids joined in. They were like 7 or 8 years old. We did that. We grew that in my home. And the last thing that happened is my mother had a stroke and she moved into the home. And because she moved into the home, my husband said, we need to take the school out of the house. And that's when I took the school out of the house. And that was in 2009. And we opened our first school with about 6 music rooms in it. And I still did not know I had a business. I didn't have a business. It wasn't even about a business. What I had was I had returned to my passion. And what gave me the passion is the pain that I received as a kid emotionally. That pain made me feel that anything I do in this building, my teaching is valuable, because I don't think that, though I like football players and basketball players, and though we idolize stars, I just really believe that teachers have a major impact on the heart of a child. So why am I passionate? Because I am doing more than music lessons. I'm instilling confidence. I am trying to make a difference in the lives of kids, because these kids grow up to be 65 years old like me. And they need a path where they don't have the history behind them. Now, am I a psychologist or something? No, I'm not going down that road. But I am very excited to be able to have a little bitty part of their life. And I'm excited to bring other teachers in who have that same passion, because there are teachers who have this. There are so many great teachers out here.
Yes.
And so I take all of my past and say, this is my purpose, to give back. Give back what God has given to me. Give back what other people poured into me. I just want to make a difference in the lives of other people. And if it was just about money, I wouldn't do it. Because every business owner knows that it's always hard work and it's always pain involved. And I asked my husband the other day, is it always going to be painful sometimes? He says, I said, what in the scriptures? I just mentioned that. What does God say about pain? He said, well, the only thing I know that God says about pain is he says, don't be a pain to others.
And that we must endure.
Yes. And that's what I want to do. I just want to be a light for other people right here in my little circle. Little Valencia, Giles.
Not little. You're a bright, shining light, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah. I want to be and I tell people, everybody here at Lawrenceville-Suwanee School of Music is a star. But it's not the star in Hollywood, though they are Hollywood stars.
Right.
But I just say, I don't think you've ever looked up in the sky and said, and on a bright night where all the stars were out, and complain about one star. Mm-mm. You never look at a star and think, that's one ugly star.
Just watch it twinkle and shine.
Everyone is a star here because everyone is amazing before they ever do a thing. They just are.
I'm sure that there are many people that have great testimonies that have been a part of your program, and they are doing wonderful things and probably still participants. Mm-hmm. Give me a success story, a student that really stood out, something that was accomplished here musically or through the arts, something that really resonates with you.
There's a little girl I taught that I remember teaching her, and she came to me when she was probably about 8 or 9, Tanya Mitchell. Now, right now, today, Tanya Mitchell came, her father had died, and she was living with her mom, a single mom. And her mom brought her in for music lessons. And this is when I was in my home. And Tanya today has a doctorate in music. She is a director of the Woodwinds Ensemble and Chamber, and she's everywhere doing what she needs to do. Now we have several kids that can choose music, and I've seen things like that happen. But you know what was really amazing that happened another time when our nonverbal special needs kids come in, did not talk. And I went in 1 year later and subbed for the teacher. And I thought we were going to do our usual routine. But this kid had gone from not talking to talking.
Wow.
We do more than music lessons. We do life lessons.
You know, just in talking to you for the short period of time, I can tell that this is so much more. And I would identify it as your mission, that this is your mission through music. And you're touching the lives of so many. And it metamorphosized you as well.
Right.
Although we just met, I want to ask you a challenging question, if I may.
Sure.
I heard you reference several times failure, and I see no failure sitting in front of me. Did you ever consider that what you're identifying as failure was a redirection from the good Lord?
I do today. But I guess I was expressing from the point of pain that I came from. It took me a little while to get to this point. I was just reading in Jamie Lima's book where it says the most successful people in life are also the people who fail the most because they are the people who try the most. Right. But I believe that it was a redirection for me. And in some ways, I guess I do believe there are some things I failed in. But I don't think failure defines me. I don't think I am a failure. You understand? I don't think I was a failure when I was younger. But there are some things that I failed. My husband talks about as a coach. Some of us are going to be winners, and some of us are going to be learners. But none of us are losers.
Oh, I like that.
You know?
They really need to teach that in sports.
Yeah. I'm not a loser.
Not a loser. I'm a learner.
I'm a learner. And so I'm okay with failing in something as long as I get re-educated and I learn from it and it brings me to a place of growth. Mm-hmm. That's why in this business, even when we're growing, even when we get this commercial, even with all these awards, there are so many things that go wrong here. There's so many things. There's hiring situations that don't go well. Right. You know, it's not like, oh, it's so beautiful. No.
Still real life.
It's still real life. And I just have to think, Amanda, I got a problem, and I'm okay with a problem, but what is the solution? I focus on solutions, and I try not to stay buried underneath. That is really different from what I was 20 years ago. Because 20 years ago, I would fall apart like a $2 suitcase. You know? I would. That's what my husband gets on me about that. Don't be falling apart like a $2 suitcase. You know, today, I'm learning, okay, got a problem, need to solve it. And this is all going to work out. Absolutely. Because God has already shown me that before. So my past has not hurt my future. As I say, I don't believe anybody can take my destiny away from me but me. So, yeah, I'm okay with mistakes, and I'm okay with failures. I'm okay with stepping in mud because it doesn't make me mud. I'm okay with being muddy. But
you don't mind getting dirty?
I don't mind, but I got to go get clean. You know, I got to go get in the tub and take a real wash. That's what I'm saying.
Before we take a break, I do want to ask you, because you mentioned about how you and your husband work here together. Mm-hmm. So share with our listeners about how you guys work together as a power duo.
Well, the way we work together is really unique because I had to talk him into joining a team. He always took care of the financial parts of the business when we were in the home. So when he branched me out into the school, he continued to do that. I am, sanguine, kind of choleric. Sorry, I'm not choleric like a baby.
Cholera.
I'm going to start that again. I'm a little sanguine choleric, you know. So I'm the fun person. I have so many ideas. I don't know what to do with them. Mm-hmm. My brain has a hard time shutting off, very creative. So if you have that type of personality, most of us are not very detail organized, you know? So my husband is the detail one. And so we ride two different lanes. Everything about music is me, and everything about money is him. That's the difference. And so even the teachers know, if they have a question, if it's about money, Mr. Giles. If it's about music, Mrs. Giles.
There you go. Sounds like you guys have a great working relationship.
We do, and we just try not to get in each other's lane because, we've been married for it's been 41 years.
Wow.
It's going to be 42 years in October.
Oh, congratulations.
So, and we've had plenty of fights about the school, and what to do, but we just say, okay, let's just stay in our lane. And we worked through it. And he also oversees the special needs program.
Remind me when we get a chance to speak later. I have a dear friend who works with Creative Enterprises. Are you familiar with that organization here in Lawrenceville?
No.
It's a adult program for people with special needs.
Okay.
And there are a lot of people that enjoy music, and there might be some synergy. She's a
Yeah.
powerhouse woman. I'll happily introduce you to Lee.
Wonderful. I love to meet
And you guys are actually neighbors. When I was driving here, I was like, how do they not know about each other? The power of connection.
Yeah.
But I'm curious if we may dive into your personal life for just a bit.
Sure.
Okay. So we were talking about leadership and about service within the community. So it seemed that a common theme would be servant leadership. And I'm curious, Valencia, what makes up a good leader to you?
Well, I always remember long ago someone asked me that question when I was in college, and I just said, to me, a leader is someone who's always willing to serve. Because they asked me, are you a leader or are you a servant? I said, no, I'm just a leader who's always willing to serve. And that's what leadership means to me. It's like you got to be willing to be the servant in the room. You've got to be willing to know how's everybody doing. You have to be a good listener. You have to be present when people are talking to you. And you have to have a sincere agenda. You just can't be a person who is just pushing people around. I don't think that's leadership. And so I've learned I'm a noisy leader. There's some people that are quiet leaders. My dad, he was really quiet, but you knew all he had to say to me was, I told you, girl. And I was, it was over, So I've learned how to be a quiet leader. And even in my relationship to my husband, I have to learn how to lead and surrender, because I respect him so much. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. The same vision that my kids have for their life, I want them to see me not just as a mom or not just as, a pushover either. I just want to make a difference to them too.
Well, newsflash, you're a powerhouse woman.
Okay.
No pushover about that. So you mentioned your family and you mentioned children. How many children do you have?
I have 3 awesome kids, adult kids. And my oldest son, he's a counselor. And my daughter, she's a spoken word artist. And she really helps us with the school and with her background in writing. And she's been responsible for helping us really get so many of the awards, because she helps me. I put my thoughts down on paper, and then she helps get them organized. And she's really, that was her major in music. And so not in music, that was her major in college. Oh, yeah. And so she does that. And my youngest son, he's right now in Guatemala. Wow. And he does mission work there. So he's helping people and serving over there.
Servant leadership doesn't fall far from the tree in your family.
I am really grateful. I'm really grateful. They too are not perfect, and they too have their issues just like mom. But what I do love about them is they try very hard to do their best. And they've always been there for me. I have a little plaque on my wall in my living room that says, my favorite people call me mom.
Oh,
they're my favorite people.
Oh, that's so sweet. I'd say my mom is one of my favorite people too. Yeah. So that's a great relationship.
Yeah, mom, that's a great title.
It is a very endearing term. How did you and your husband meet?
Well, actually, I met him as a musician in church. So Ozzy, I went to play piano at the church that his family attended. Ozzy has about 12 siblings, and they all made up the choir. Wow. Many of them did. And I had not met Ozzy. He came to the church from the National Guard. And when Ozzy walked in the door, and I think, Amanda, don't think of, when he walked in, okay.
The trumpet sounded?
No, it did not. When he walked in, me being the teenager that I am, I looked at him and said, who would date him? That was my first thought. Who would date him? And that was because at that time I was pretty stuck up, and I would look down on people, and he was very poor, and he had on hush puppies and polyester. I mean, just not cool, wasn't. But he was tall, and that mattered. And so eventually, Ozzy did not like me either. So it was like we disliked each other at first sight. Yeah.
Dislike at first sight.
We
That's
did.
funny.
We didn't like each other at all. And then eventually he had a softball team, and I decided, he asked me if I would be on it. And I said, I don't know how to get there. And he goes, well, I'll pick you up. And I was like, okay. And then he picked up, and his girlfriend was on the team. Oh. And so he would pick me up, and then he would try to pick me up later. And I was like, what is wrong with you?
Ozzy.
Yeah. And eventually I'm like, if you really want to do something here, you need to go and talk to your girlfriend and let that go. And then he left the house, and an hour later he came back and said, it's done. Oh, and then we dated and went off to college together and dated for about 4 years. And 2 years after that, we graduated, we got married.
So does your 41 years also include those 4 years of dating?
I know it does not.
So really,
it's
you're
actually,
at 45.
Yes, ma'am.
Wow.
45 years.
That's so exciting. What would you say that to anybody listening out there that's married, that some of the successful components of your marriage are? Because we all know it's a journey. So what are a couple keys to remaining married happily for 45 years?
Well, I guess I can say this, or you can cut it. But those 2 years after we got married, it took us 2 years to get married because I had at one point committed my life totally to Christ. And I was baptized on his birthday. And Ozzy was like...
On Ozzy's or Jesus's?
On Ozzy's birthday. And Ozzy came home, and I'm like, I'm a Christian now. I got baptized, da, 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 da. And Ozzy's like, well, I'm a Christian too. And I'm like, no, you're not. And he got really angry and stormed out. And so for 2 years, we were on this, Ozzy, we got to get on the same page. In order for marriage to work...
God first.
God has to be first for us. I mean, to me, God created marriage, and he is the owner of it, and he knows how to make it work. We have no idea how to do that. Ozzy and I, when we don't agree with each other, we can go to the scriptures and say, well, but what does God say about it? What does the Bible say about it? So really, I think the things that I've learned that has truly brought us together, the foundation has been our unity in our purpose and the foundation of our purpose. So even with the mistakes and the troubles and the times and the arguments that we've had in our struggles, that was not the foundation of our marriage. So the foundation was the scriptures. We had that, and we agreed at the end of the day, we're going to do, that is the final answer. So be kind.
Yes.
So love one another.
Love, yes.
So do not be coarse. Speak gentle words. Encourage one another gently. Raise your kids and respect your husband. All those things channel into me from, if it was just me, if I just went on me, it would not work. And if Ozzy just went on him, it would not work. It's a lot of give and take. And it's never 50-50.
It's 80-20.
Yeah. Sometimes it's 0, 100.
Yeah.
Like,
do you know, I heard from a gal friend of mine, we're in a women's group together, and she and her husband kind of have an unspoken percentage of what they're able to give when they come home. They too have a few kids. Yeah. And she will tell him, honey, I'm at 40%. Can you bring the other 60%? Because I'm really, struggling. Or sometimes it might be, I've only got 10. Or whatever the case may be, but them sharing that with each other so the other one knows what to bring. Yes. I thought was so tremendous. Yes. That sounds similar to what you guys did.
It does. Because if you are in a relationship or you have a couple, you're married and you bring your work home, that's dysfunctional to your relationship.
Right.
And so Ozzy and I do have some cues. We would say, okay, we'll call each other at 6. We're going to meet at home at this time, and we try to finish all the work conversation. Let's just talk right now while I'm on my way home. You talk while you're on your way home. So when we get home, we don't have to talk.
That's great.
So we'll do things like that. Or I'll say, if you really need to talk, let's just make a time. Can we do that tomorrow morning at 2?
Yeah.
Or if it's an emergency, or he'll ask me, he says, I really need to talk to you about something, but tell me, can you handle it now, or you just need some rest? Sometimes I say, well, I just need some rest. I can talk to you in 30 minutes or something like that. So we respect each other's space.
Yes.
Ozzy's, you think I'm passionate, but when it comes to the organization, Ozzy's much more passionate. So he will talk to me about all kinds of things, and then we would just say, hey, can't handle. I can't handle no more. It'll be there tomorrow.
Yes, it will. It's so important to protect your peace.
Yes. Protecting my peace is really important.
I would like to congratulate you on all of the tremendous work that you've done here in our community, all of the lives that you've touched. It sounds like you and Ozzy are truly doing the Lord's work here through music, and I couldn't be more thrilled for you.
Thank you so much.
I was wondering if you would indulge me in a little bit of a game that I like to play with my guests, and it's a word association game.
Okay, I'll try.
I'm just going to say a couple things, and you tell me either the definition or what they mean to you. And they're based on the things that we've discussed in the conversation.
Okay.
So the first one is grit.
Never quitting. Pushing through the hard places.
Yes. That's what I would say too. Grace.
You are enough. Nothing you do makes you worthy. Worthiness comes from inside, internal. And so if we remember that, we can always be good to ourselves, light on ourselves, not beat ourselves up at all, and we can be gracious to other people. Because generally, if you are beating yourself up or beating other people up, let me say that again. Generally, if you are really hard on your employees, or you are short, it's really 90% of the time about you. I really try to make sure that before I even get out of the bed, I say thank you. Yeah. Because I don't stay in grace when I am not thankful. So for me to be a person that gives grace, I have to be thankful for everything from the breath I breathe, to thank you for my eyes, thank you that I can see, thank you for my home, thank you that this home is paid off, thank you that our cars are paid off, thank you that the building is sufficient and it has everything we need. Because when you're thankful, then you'll give grace.
Attitude of gratitude.
Yes, ma'am.
I like that. And the last one, Valencia, is something that I think you are. Excellence.
Thank you for saying that.
You're welcome.
Excellence to me. My dad taught me excellence. He was a carpenter, and he would break something or something. He wouldn't break it, but if something was broken and he would go fix it, he would say, look, if a Cox can't fix it, that was my maiden name. He said, if a Cox can't fix it, it can't be fixed. And then he say, and when you do something, he says, when I fix it, no one should ever know that it was broken. And he taught me that. He was one that gave 100% in giving to others. He gave 100% in serving. He gave 100% to his family. And my husband is like that. Just 100% givers. Not 100% perfect. But I always say that my dad loved me perfectly, imperfectly.
Yes.
So to me, excellence is the same thing. It's perfection imperfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you are giving your very, very best. And even in growing the school, there were imperfections, but that didn't change my outcome.
Right. You work through them.
I worked through it. So I love that. I just don't want it to be my identity
Right.
based on what I do or based on my strengths or based on my weaknesses. I believe that all of us, even the people listening, are excellent and are perfect in their being just because they are. And when you get that, you don't mind working hard and striving to make the external things great because you're okay with yourself and you're okay with your mission.
Yeah.
And you know you're not trying to do it to become something that you already are. You're just doing it out of your gratitude and the word grace that you brought. To live and to not give is really a dark place.
Yeah.
And it's full of sadness, you know?
I will say that the good Lord leads and he will provide you where he leads. So the
Yes.
abundance that you're experiencing, you're able to share your time, treasure, and talents with students in the world. You know, you've been led here in a place of grace to share those talents, and that is your passion and your purpose. And I am so excited for you, Valencia.
Thank you.
For those listening that want to learn more about the school, where can they find you online or how can they do so?
Well, they can find me. We have a website, Lawrenceville-Suwanee School of Music.com. And that's Lawrenceville-Suwanee School of Music.com. That website's so awesome. We just had it redone. It's so good.
Check it out.
Check it out. It's easy to navigate and it's beautiful. I'm really excited about it. And you know, we're on Facebook and Instagram.
I saw you on Facebook. Thanks for the shout out before the show.
And the other places would be RadioX.
Yes, absolutely.
And all the information on how to contact us is there. We want to bring so many families into the school, people who want to be a part of our family. We want to give music and do it really, really well. The education is very important to me.
Absolutely. Well, are people able just to walk in and just say hello? Like, could they walk through the front door and find out some information?
Absolutely. If they call, they can just walk in. Or if they call, they can set up a trial lesson or they can set up a tour. They also can just sign up online. You'll soon be able to see the teachers up there and you can pick the instructor that you want for your class. We really specialize in trying to get times for you that works for siblings, you know, as well. So right now we have schedules that it's back to school coming up real soon.
Right.
So we have schedules where most of the families want to come in at the same time, do a little art, do a little piano. So we try to have really broad schedules that we can do that. I would love to see people come in to visit our school.
Well, I might take you up on that because my nephew, who is 9 years old, and he loves all things music, but he's got a little bit of an attention. Same as me. We're ADHD, okay? He might like to take a tour and see if you guys have anything that might be in his world here.
That would be awesome. We have 2 locations. One is 1612 Collins Hill Road, and the second location is 345 Peachtree Industrial Boulevard. And we're working to find our third location. So good luck to us.
Yeah,
on
okay.
that.
We
Yeah.
heard that. All right, Valencia, I've enjoyed our time together tremendously. And before we say adios, I'd love for you to leave our listeners with some final words of wisdom.
Well, I'll end where I started in growing up thinking I was not enough. And that is certainly not where I am today. And there may be somebody out there that may feel that way themselves. But whether you feel that way or not, one of the things I've learned is you are perfect before you ever do a thing. You are perfect before you ever do a thing. And people would say, no one's perfect. Don't. Well, define perfection. Is perfection without error?
It's not.
It's not. You are perfect before you ever do anything, because perfection is the fact that you are here as an individual with a mission and with a purpose to give and do something that was designed just for you. And you've got to already know that you're not striving to get that you already have it. So you are already where you need to be if you can embrace, I am already there internally, that you are perfect before you ever do a thing. The struggle to me is trying to become something that you already are. You really have to think about that. I wish I was pretty. Well, you're already pretty. I'm 65, and I've just said today, the older I get, the prettier I look. You know? Because my definition is different. Mm-hmm. So, I'll just say it one more time to all of you listeners out there. You have got to know that you are amazing. You are wonderful. You are great. You are perfect before you ever do a single thing. You just are. And you receive that and believe that. And that comes from me, from the God, my creator, who said that I was wonderful and beautifully made.
In his image.
Yes. And I am just, through my actions, adding to what he has given to me, working it out. But I'm not trying to become any of that. I already am.
That was wonderful. Thank you for joining us, Valencia Giles, here at the, excuse me, you've taken me off my game. I was like so into it with you. Valencia Giles here at the Lawrenceville-Suwanee School of Music. Thank you for joining us. As you know, you can find this show online 24/7. You can also subscribe wherever you enjoy your podcasts. We are live every Friday at 11:30 on businessradiox.com. I'd love to stay connected with you. Find me at amandapierch.com. And until next time, this is Celebrating Powerhouse Women on Business Radio X.